Hey guys, Grape Collects. Or I guess for me, good evening. And yeah, it's been a bit. It's been about a week since the last upload, and even though I know I promised further consistency, you can see how good of a keeper of that I am. I guess realizing that I have to work uh, 5 days a week, 7 hours a day, keeps me a bit more busy than I intended. So, a couple of weeks ago, not even a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, I uploaded a video in which I showcased a double struck Lincoln cent I found in some bags of Lincoln cent. Those bags came from the LCS. I purchased them at face value. They were a mix of, I'd say, I don't even know. It's more like 70-30 AU to BU copper cents. There were some zinc cents mixed in, but it was a vast abundance of them. Were higher grade, AU brown to mint state 66 red examples of Lincoln cents. And it took about 2.5 weeks, but I finally finished going through all of them. It took so long mainly because I had to organize them by decade, by date, and it took really long time. But I finally finished, and I wanted to kind of showcase the finds. A lot of you guys already seen a few of them, or know of a few of them. If you are a member of Coin Community, there was a thread in which I showcased and listed a lot of the finds I had. I can leave a link to that in the description. That's not so much work. But I really just wanted to kind of share the end results of the hunt, so you guys could kind of see what I was dealing with and what I was finding during the hunt. And yeah, no, overall though, I'd say it was probably one of my most successful hunts ever. Mainly due to a few specific pieces shining, but also just due to the fact that there were a lot of quality coins in there. Again, the most, in my opinion, amazing piece is this one. Unfortunately, as you guys can see right there, there's a fingerprint up there. I'm going to see if NCS, when I send this off to get graded in about 2 weeks, got a grading submission package I can share with you guys a separate video. But this is one of them. The obverse, you can see clear double struck image. You can see it there. The Liberty being here. A little bit of the bust of Lincoln right there. Almost looks like a scratch, but it's actually raised. If you compare the pivot of Liberty, that's exactly where the left side of the bust is. Not really in this lighting, but you can actually see a 1 in the upper hair. And if we look at the reverse, it's, oh well, really double struck. I'm really trying to be careful to handle this by the edge, but you can see letters A and M of America. If you look where FG should be normally, there's actually an S in the building. That's from E pluribus, which has been overstruck with the bottom of the memorial, the 1 of states coming through. It's a super crazy interesting error coin. And in all honesty, probably the most single valuable item from the entire hunt. So I really just wanted to show that one off first. So we're going to move on to some of the finds from the hunt. One of them is this 1917 Lincoln cent, and I don't think it's going to show up on here. However, I'm going to try. I don't know if I can play with the exposure a little bit to get it. I don't think I can. This is actually FS 101, the really scarce double die. I plan to photo it and get significantly better photos for you guys, but that was one find I didn't expect to find in the Memorial Sense bag. That one was pretty neat. The next find was a proof variety, actually. This is a 1959 proof cent. Here you go. See if I can get a focus. If I don't think my camera really wants to... Oh, there it is. It's not really going to get the fine detail. This is Koncia DDR number 9, which show normally as a spread on the left edge of the building. Can't really get it to show up, and slight extra thickness in the designer's initials. This camera really does not like proofs. I plan to upgrade to a significantly higher quality camera soon enough, but the budget's kind of holding me back at this point, so it's not really me trying to come up with an excuse, it's just kind of how it is. Then I had 2 copies of DDR-06 for the 1960 Lincoln cent. It shows this extra thickness on the designer's initials. I had 2 of those. And then I had 1963 WDD-05. Yeah, a lot of these aren't going to show up on camera. I'm just going to try to like zoom out a lot of it and just show what the general coin itself looks like in the condition. This is DD-06, which is a doubled L variety. Nice AU example, so I'm happy with that one. Let's move on to the next group, which is this 1963. This is DD-08. More of a brown than a red brown, but still nice. I'd probably put this at like a AU50. Probably an AU50 even. This one's a nicer one. This is 1967 DDO number 1. This is a doubled L variety. And this is actually an SMS coin. I did find quite a few number of proofs and SMS coins in here. This is actually an SMS double die, which is really interesting. I didn't expect to find any of those in there, to be honest. I gotta like figure out which one's next. Forgive me. Alright, here's the next item. This is a 1972 doubled die obverse number 2. This variety is actually one I specifically wanted to come to get you guys' attentions to, and I kind of want to make a separate video on it, but you guys probably often look for the 1972 double die Lincoln cents when you coin roll hunt, the 72 Philadelphias, that is. My thing is, I often will look for the 72D and 72S double dies because they are just as strong, if not stronger, than some of the 72 Philadelphia double dies that are like listed in cherry pictures. I just dropped my wallet. I swear I'm intelligent. My camera will focus and be kind enough, which doesn't really want to. There's a decent spread on trust. If you guys want to look it up and see really high-grade pieces and examples for yourself, this is a 72D double die obverse number 2, stage B, listed on varietyvista.com. So if you guys want to go take a look at this variety for yourselves with higher resolution photos so you guys can see what I'm seeing on this piece, please go ahead, take a look at it, because this is also for your guys' education as well. Die varieties are a really interesting thing, and I encourage all of you guys to study and read up on them. During your free time, playtime, whatever you guys are doing, I would encourage you to, I don't know, just look through the Variety Vista die files. You'll learn a lot more than you'd think. Dr. James Wiles is a great resource. So, that was all the double dies I found. For the SMS and proof coins, I've got one in acetone right now because it was in kind of a trashy shape. We have a 67 SMS, another 67, I mean, it does not photoproof, so you're going to have to take my word on a lot of these, unfortunately. Until I have the budget to get a new camera, which I don't know when that'll be. 69S proof. Yeah, this kind of looks like a satiny business strike, but it's a proof. I'm like 99% sure. 66 special mint set. Oftentimes, a lot of you guys do know SMS coins can be confused with business strikes because they were more of a satiny coin. This one is, in fact, an SMS. Then we had that 65, this 66. Oftentimes, the way I can tell the difference is that SMS coins often have more deep liquid fields. And if you ever owned lightly impaired or even some, just even, I won't only say poorly struck, but poorly struck SMS coins often have these liquid-like fields, and you really have to see them to understand what I'm talking about, but they really do. So let's do the RPMs next. This first one is FS 501. You can look this up in cherry pickers because I sound like a broken record here. My camera's really just crap. And then this one is the same repunched mint mark, but this is I can't even say BU. It's really not. Thankfully, though, it almost looks like I can get it on camera. Oh boy, this is a stretch. If you look to the right of the mint mark, the bottom right corner, you can see kind of a tail. It's kind of the best it's going to show up as for this variety, at least. There were definitely a lot of smaller varieties in there. This is D over D over D, so it's a triple mint mark. This is RPM number 5, D over D southwest serifs, which means that the repunch is to the southwest and visible at the serifs. This is RPM 9, D over D over D over D. I think I got them all. South and north, those are the directions that it was punched. This is another copy of the same one in a lot nicer shape. Yeah. Next we have 59D, RPM 17, D over D tilted. If you guys want, I can literally, I'll probably just put a really long slideshow at the end of it with high-grade photos of all these varieties if you want to take a look at them for yourselves. That'll be at the end of the video and take me about an hour to edit. So, yeah. Now this is RPM 21, D over D, rotated counterclockwise. RPM 21. And that was all of the 59 Denver repunched mint marks. And now we have the 60 Phillies. So, first off is, actually not even this one, I already owned this piece. We're going to skip that one. That was one I bought a long time ago. Here's the first one I actually found. This is FS501, D over D West, Stage E. It's a Concia Top 100 repunched mint mark variety. No. I mean, you can kind of tell, but not really. I don't know. If you guys have if any of you guys are into photos and you know any really decent video cameras, let me know. I was looking at a GoPro Hero, and I was considering purchasing that. I don't know if it's good, so if you guys know if it's good or not, please let me know, because I don't know if I should buy it or not, because I want to make higher quality videos for all of you guys and for myself, because low quality videos produced by me really bugs me. This is FS501, the other big RPM for this year. They're the same thing, whatever. English, I swear. This is RPM number 7. This is a D over D West. Again, a nicer RPM. This was one of my favorites I found. This is a D over D Northwest RPM 13. The reason I say this is one of my favorite RPMs is you can see a completely second whole mint mark. I call it a D and D. It's technically not, because there's not two separate mint marks, but it's close. This one's a D over D North with some really just attractive bluish purple red toning to it on the obverse. The rivers too. It's a really nice piece. That's RPM 19 on Concia. All of these are pretty much, unless otherwise notated, Concia varieties. RPM 28, D over D East, and then lower serif, which would be the bottom left hook of the D. Next is 1960D, RPM 28, D over D East, lower serif. I think I actually just said the same one twice. Yeah, I had two of them. My apologies, I didn't even realize I had the same RPM 2 times in there. I do know I have a repeat of this, so this is RPM 38, D over D counterclockwise, and I have this specimen right here, this specimen here, also RPM 38, and this one also RPM 38. Interestingly enough, 2 of them are in the same die state, and 1 of them is in a different die state. Now, I don't know if that's just coincidence or if they're from the same role originally, but they're actually both AU, which makes me think that it's honestly just pure coincidence that all 3 of them ended up in there, which is kind of funny to think about. This one's RPM 50, stage C, D over D southeast, and these are all the 60 large dates, mind you. I didn't really get any 60 small date RPMs. This is RPM 61, D over D counterclockwise. I realize I'm literally just rambling on and probably not making any coherent sense whatsoever. But you guys should come to realize that's not different than any of my other videos. So, you know, cut me some slack here. I have a second example of that 61 here. This is also an RPM 61, just a different one. And we have this really nice BU 60D RPM 82 D over D over D counterclockwise clockwise, which you guys you'll have to see at the end of the video when I put the slideshow together what it looks like. It's repunched once counterclockwise and once clockwise, both tilted. It looks really funky. And then, not really, I can show them all. I can show each individual one. I have, this is RPM 84, and I have 11 copies of it. All the same RPM. I have 11 of them. I originally had 18, but I had a buyer who bought the first 7 of them off of me. Because, honestly, I don't think I need 18 of the same RPM. I believe that's probably a little bit excessive. This is RPM 92, D over D south. This one's interesting. There is a stage A of this, or so they believed. It does not match any of the die markers for stage B, stage C, or so on and on. I believe it's an unpictured stage A. None of the die markers matched. Rather, I can't say that. None of the die markers matched. Some of them did. Some of them were earlier die state, which makes me believe this is the same die. The mint mark position is correct. The repunching is correct. I'm very sure it's the same mint mark, same die. I believe it's just an unpictured die state. So I need to clarify that. This is a D over D over D counterclockwise lower serif, RPM 99. It's got a little bit of like purple toning to it. It's kind of nice. And then these are the small date RPMs. So this is the first one. D over D over D, RPM 104. This is a 60D small date. If you don't know how to tell the difference between the large date and the small date, one sixth is smaller than the other. You gotta really see it to understand the difference. Here is RPM 109, AU, high AU, low MS, D over D south. There. Nice piece. An attractive variety. And then I'm not really going to show them all because it would take like a really long time. But I have a stack of just unlisted RPMs and stuff that just I'll eventually get attributed and whatnot. But like, I got a bunch of them. So I'm just going to really skip past these. Some of them are in nice shape. Others really aren't in that nice of shape. So, but interestingly enough, there's a variety of different kinds of unlisted RPMs that I found. Some are like tilted RPMs, some are north, south, east, west, Kanye west, I don't know. So here are the 61 Denvers. This is the first 61D RPM, RPM 26, D over D east, stage C. It's a really nice condition too. Unfortunate about some of the abrasion marks in the fields, but it's in really nice shape. I can't really complain. This is a D over D tilted, stage B. So also very nice shape. This is RPM 30, D over D tilted. That's a nice AU brown. This is RPM 32, D over D south. RPM 84, or not 84, 30, 43, 43, I speak. D over D South, RPM 55, D over D East, RPM 64, D over D Tilted, and then another stack of unlisted RPM varieties, 4 of them here. There's some more that I haven't attributed yet that are unlisted that I purely just haven't had the time to go through and see if they match or anything, and I need to get around to that sooner than later, and I eventually will. I have an unlisted 63D RPM, which is a D over D tilted, which is odd. There's not actually a lot of 63D RPM, so I'm kind of happy to find one. This is the first one here, RPM 1, stage D, D over D East, or West, yeah. This one's a higher AU red. I honestly think it may have been messed with at some point and buffed up or something and kind of just naturally retoned, but no way to know. This is RPM 2, 63D. Let's see if I can focus. It's pretty nice shape. I'd put this at MS61 red. It's decent. Here are the 64s. This is a 64D RPM number 2. This is the only 64 RPM I own. And then the last RPM, this 70S large date RPM number 1. This is actually one of the most significant RPMs from the 70s, and the only really significant one. And I'm really happy to have found one in super nice shape. They're actually quite scarce, so I have to say I'm quite happy with that. And that was the SMS coins and the varieties. But aside from that 1981, I haven't shown you the error coins yet. And we did get a pretty solid number of them. All of them being clipped planchets, but I mean, you're not going to hear me complain. Let's take a look at the first one here. This is a ragged straight clip. You can kind of tell it's an authentic clip. You can like just look at the kind of cavity that it's taken off. Whoopsie. You can tell it's authentic because you have the weakness of the devices, especially on the bottom here, opposite of it, and how the fact that the devices fade towards the clip. I know that it is an authentic clip. This is a 64 curved clip. This is a 61 curved clip as well. A lot of these are curved clips, some of them are not. Another 64 with a curved clip in the top left corner. A 60 with a 60 large date with a clip in the top left, almost in the same position as the 64. The 64 is, I think, just slightly larger, but I think it actually probably started at the same position. And this is a 63 with a really nutty ragged clip. Let me see if I can get a good angle on it without the light messing it up. Let's see if I can't get a little bit better on the light, but I mean, it is super interesting. This is the first ragged clip. I mean, it just looks super nuts. I never actually owned one prior to finding this, but you can tell that's pretty crazy as far as it gets. And I really didn't want to take them out of 2x2s just so they wouldn't get damaged. And the last error coin I found was this interesting lamination on the 64. You can tell it's pretty fresh because the copper's still showing through. But yeah, no, that was the results of the bag. I mean, if you don't want to count like all of these RPMs that I still have to figure out which they are, what they are, who they are, all that jazz. But other than that, that's pretty much it. And you know, I know this was a super long video. It's already 25 minutes according to my timer, and it's gonna probably be another 5 minutes or so with the varieties. So if you've managed to stick around to this point, I mean, thank you. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't have anything to say. But thank you for sticking around. If you did, if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like or to let me know what you thought. I don't really do these long style videos for like normally, so yeah. I plan to put all the varieties in at the end as just PNGs I'll edit into a slideshow. But yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And this is Great Collect signing out, but stick around to see the slideshow in just a second.